What's going on, YouTube family? How you doing? Welcome back to another exciting, head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. Well, I know I did that a little too late, but anyway. Okay, today is another great day right after the storm, and it's sunny outside. It's about 75 degrees, and it's very, very beautiful outside. But hey, it's just one of those good days. But today I got another story for you. This one is about a young man named Brian Shaffer, and David Paulides has talked about him a couple of times on his during his interviews on Coast to Coast AM. So now I am going to go into the case myself, and I will, talk about some innuendos about the little bits and pieces in the case as far as the evidence and everything and stuff dealing with the security camera. And the security camera is the best part of the entire case because it explains a lot, as far as what could have happened to him and what didn't happen. Okay, so I'm going to get right into it. Okie dokie dokie. All right, this one, like I said, is about a young man named Brian Shaffer. Now, as far as his background, Shaffer grew up in Pickerington, Ohio, a suburb of Columbus, the state capital where the Ohio State University, OSU to be exact, is located. The older of Randy and Renee Shaffer's two sons. He graduated from the local high school in 1997 and went to OSU for his undergraduate work. 6 years later, he graduated with a degree in microbiology. Another smart person. Okay, now following that, he began studies at the Ohio State University College of Medicine in 2004. During his second year there, in March of 2006, his mother Renee died of let me make sure I get this right here. That's myelodysplasia, or myelodysplasia. I don't know how you pronounce that, but anyway. Now, his friends say that although he appeared to be handling it well, her death was hard on him. And I say, I know how that feels. It wasn't my mother that passed, it was my dad, and that was very hard for me as well. So it can really put you in a stupor, or at least a state where you just kind of lose all track of reality, because right at the day after, I think it was either the day after my dad passed or after the funeral, I was in the house. I was still distraught, and I blacked out. I didn't know what I was doing. I just know that when I woke up, I was at the very end of the driveway leading out of my complex, and I was about to drive into the street. And when I woke up, I realized where I was at, and I was like, okay, how the heck did I get here? I mean, I literally blacked out. I didn't know how I even got there. I literally just got in my car and just started driving. Can you imagine if I went out into the street? I could have gotten killed, And so it does put you in a state where you just lose it, not in a hysterical kind of way, but you just lose all track of everything. You just blank out, So at that time, I had to call. I tried calling everybody. I tried calling my girlfriend at the time, my cousin. Nobody was picking up the phone, and I was just, I couldn't be by myself. So finally, I called my mom, and she was at work, and she answered the phone, of course. And I told her, can you please come home? Because right now I'm at the end of my driveway at my complex. I don't even know how I even got here. Please come home. So she came home, and so she could be with me. I wasn't ready for the outside world at that point. I literally wanted to just crawl under a rock somewhere and just stay there until I got over my dad's death. But anyway, like I said, I know exactly how that goes. But anyway. Okay, now Renee was not the only woman important in Brian's life. He had become romantically involved with a fellow second-year medical student, Alexis Wagner. She, along with their families and friends, believed that Brian would probably be proposing marriage to her later that year. most likely on a trip to Miami. The couple had planned for spring break at the beginning of April. Now, tropical locations such as Miami were attractive to Brian. He liked the relaxed lifestyle. He told his friends that despite his decision to pursue a medical career, his real ambition was to start a band playing music in the vein of Jimmy Buffett. Okay, cool. All right. Now, as far as his disappearance, now on March 31st, a Friday, classes at OSU ended for spring break the next week. Now, Brian and Randy Shaffer, his father, celebrated the occasion by going out for a steak dinner together earlier that evening. Now, the father noted that his son seemed exhausted from having pulled all-nighters early in the week, cramming for some important upcoming exam. And it always happens when school's about to let out. They always have this big exam right before they let all the students out. You gotta cram like crazy. I always hated that. Ugh. Anyway, okay. So now he did not think Brian should go out, with a friend named William Clint Florence, later that night as he planned to do, but did not express his reservations to his son. And I can understand that. His son is he's young, he's vibrant, he wants to go out and have fun with his friends. He didn't want to feel like he was being coddled, and I'm pretty sure his father was thinking that. So he just left it alone and just let him do what he was going to do. And I guess he figured that he was smart enough to not do anything too drastic, knowing that he was tired. And I'm pretty sure he knew he was tired, so he would just kind of lighten up the mood at that. Well, lighten up, his mood at that point when he's going out with his friends. Probably wasn't going to drink too much. Yeah. So now at 9 p.m., Brian met Florence at the Ugly Tuna Saloon, which is a seafood restaurant and bar in the South Campus Gateway complex, on High Street. Now, an hour later, Brian called Wagner, his girlfriend, who had returned to her home in Toledo to visit with her family before the two went to Miami, and told her that he loved her. He and Florence went bar hopping at that point. Now, they went visiting several other drinking establishments and working their way down to the Arena District. At each stop, the two had one shot each of hard liquor, according to Florence. Now, I can tell you right now, if you're taking shots, and I'm talking heavy shots, straight shots of liquor, you'll be fucked up. Trust me. I should know. I've been there. And man, it is not pretty. Okay, I woke up feeling a little, damp in certain areas, if you know what I mean. So, believe you me, it's not pretty. So I understand where that's coming from. But he was having fun. He's young. He was taking shots. I be taking shots. And I'm 41 years old, so I'm not young that much anymore. But I do have my fun. Anyway, excuse me, guys. Got a little phlegm in the throat, but anyway. Okay, now after midnight, the two met Meredith Reed, a friend of Florence's, in the Short North. I still don't know what that is. I mean, I could click on it to see what it is, but it's probably another bar. But anyway, she gave them a ride back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. This is where they had started, their night. Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm good. Okay, now she joined them. Okay, maybe I'm not good. She joined them there for a last round of drinking. Now, while the three were there, Brian separated from his companions. Florence and Reed had been trying to find him, repeatedly calling him. Now, they left with other patrons when the bar closed at 2 a.m., waiting outside for Brian, where he was not among the departing crowd. Now, they assumed he had gone back to his apartment without letting them know, which is very strange. I'm pretty even for him, because you would think that a person would say, "Okay, I'm leaving a little early. I'm going back to my apartment because I'm tired from all the cramming, and I'm feeling a little tipsy, so I'm ready to go. Now I'll see you guys later." That did not happen. So, it is what it is. Excuse me for 1 second. Woo, okay. Sorry about that, guys. It's just one of them things that happen. Alrighty. Now, from where I left off at, where he didn't tell him where he was going, if that was the case, which it obviously wasn't. Wagner and Randy Shaffer both tried to call Brian later, that weekend, but he did not answer. On Monday morning, he missed the flight to Miami. He and Wagner had scheduled long before. He was reported missing to the Columbus police. Now, as far as the investigation goes, police began their search for Brian at the Ugly Tuna, the bar where he had last been seen, since the area around South Campus Gateway was somewhat blighted with a high crime rate. Now, the bar had installed security cameras. They reviewed the footage, which showed Brian, Florence, and Reed going up an escalator to the bar's main entrance at 1:15 a.m. Brian was seen outside the bar around 1:55 a.m. talking briefly with two young women and saying goodbye, then moving off camera in the direction of the bar, apparently to re-enter the bar, of course. Now, the camera did not record him leaving shortly afterwards when the Ugly Tuna closed. That was the last time he was seen. Now, I can tell you right now, there's a guy who was a part of the original investigation. His name is Andre Edwards. This man said that he looked at that video front to back, back to front, side to side, upside down, inside out, and he could not see where Brian actually left the bar. There was no footage of him actually doing that, because they said there was only one exit and entrance, and that was the front door where the escalator was. Now, there is another door somewhere towards the back, but that wasn't used by the patrons. That was used by employees alone, because he always has that door that says employees only entrance or whatever, and that was one of them. And they said that it actually led out to an area where they were doing some construction. And they said it would have been hard for a person to get through, especially if they were drunk. Not saying that he was, but he was doing a lot of drinking. So, but yeah, that's pretty crazy in that area. Now, police began their search, for Brian at the Ugly Tuna. I read that part. 1 p.m. Okay, now it was possible. Investigators realized that he could have changed his clothes in the bar or put on a hat and kept his head down, hiding his face from the cameras, which I would think would be kind of stupid, because it's not like the boy did something wrong. Why would he be hiding from the cameras in the first place? He didn't do it. He didn't commit no crime. He didn't get in a fight with anybody. He was just talking to some girls and probably hanging out with his friends. So that would basically stamp out that theory, for me personally. And like I said, that was just one of the theories they came up with. So obviously they threw that out when they found out that wasn't true. Okay. Now, the cameras might also have missed him. One panned across the area constantly, and the other was operated manually. He might have also left the building by another route. However, the building's only other exit, a service door not generally used by the public, which is what I said earlier. Okay, now opened at the time onto a construction site that officers believed would have been difficult to walk through while sober. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what they were saying. You know, while you're actually sober, you know, because I guess they had a lot of debris or a lot of stuff in the way, you know, but much less intoxicated as Brian likely was at the time. Now, since Columbus has the most security cameras in any city in Ohio, more than Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Toledo combined, officers next looked to the footage from other bars to see if cameras there could explain how Brian had left the Ugly Tuna. However, footage from cameras at 3 other nearby bars showed no trace of Brian. Now, the search began to fan out from the Ugly Tuna, with officers sometimes accompanied by police dogs looking closely in the street, inspecting dumpsters and other waste containers, and asking residents if they had seen him. Flyers of Brian's pictures showing a tattoo on his upper right arm of a stick figure logo from the cover artwork for the single of Alive, which was by Pearl Jam, one of his favorite bands, of course, and noting a distinctive fleck in one of his irises. Now these were posted widely. The police even persuaded the city to let them into the sewer system and search there. Now, no useful information was uncovered at that point. At Brian's apartment on King Avenue, 6 blocks from the Ugly Tuna, his car was still parked outside. Inside, nothing appeared amiss. After searching miles away from the bar in every direction, police began to consider other possibilities besides an accident or foul play. Since his mother had recently died, it was speculated he had gone away temporarily to grieve in solitude. Yet his disappearance proved permanent. No evident reasons appeared for him voluntarily disappearing. Those who had seen Brian that evening, including his father, were asked to take lie detector tests. Reed and Randy Shaffer passed theirs, as did reportedly all the others, while Florence refused. That's kind of strange. Why would he refuse out of all the people that he knew? So that would lead you to believe that he actually knew something, or maybe he had something to do with his disappearance. But who knows? You never know. You never can tell nowadays. Okay. Now, the 2 women Brian had last been seen talking to were later identified. They said in 2009 that they had never been asked to take one themselves. Now, Wagner called Brian's phone every evening before going to bed for a long time after the disappearance. Usually, it went to voicemail, but one night in September, it actually rang 3 times. Now, from what she said, she kept calling it to hear it purely because it was one of the best sounds she had ever heard, even if no one picked up. Now, this is what she wrote on her MySpace page. Now, Brian's wireless provider, Singular, said that it might have been a glitch that caused a different phone to ring. His phone was not GPS enabled, so the location could not be determined at that point. Now, a ping also from the phone was detected at a cell tower in Hilliard. Now, this place was 14 miles and 23 kilometers northwest of Columbus. The police received many tips, none of which resulted in any breakthroughs in the case. At a Pearl Jam concert later that year in Cincinnati, lead singer Eddie Vedder. Okay, that's getting on my nerves. My phone always seems to ring when I'm doing something. I hate that crap. And it's always some solicitor or maybe a bill collector, which I won't answer until I know I have the money to pay for my bills. Anyway, okay, now what I said about the Pearl Jam concert in Cincinnati, the lead singer Eddie Vedder took time between songs to ask for tips in Brian's disappearance, but none of those were useful either. Possible sightings in Michigan, Texas, and even Sweden were investigated. Randy Shaffer, who had recently suffered the death of his wife, continued the search for his son on his own. A psychic he consulted told him Brian's body was in water near a bridge pier. He and Derek, Brian's brother, along with some other citizens who had become interested in the case, brought waiters and spent much of their free time along the shores of Olentangy River, which flows through Columbus, adjacent to the OSU campus, searching in vain for the body near bridges. For the body near bridges. Okay. This possibility also led police to briefly consider the heavily disputed smiley face murder theories. Now, I've heard a lot about that, and David Paulides has talked about that, in the past on his interviews. But I'm still trying to figure out if that's an actual thing. It might be, but a lot of those smiley face murders really don't connect with the cases in the David Paulides' books. Even he said that. Okay, so now Brian Shaffer under this. Now they was talking about the murders that would connect with Brian Shaffer's, Brian Shaffer's disappearance, which is also a theory in that, of course. Now that would be. Okay, let me read that part over again because I kind of got a little lost here. Okay, now this possibility also led police to briefly consider the heavily disputed smiley face murder theory. Brian Shaffer, under this theory, would be the killer's only victim whose body has not been found. Columbus police eventually rejected any connection to the alleged killer in Brian's case. Now, as far as the death of Randy Shaffer, his father, which is the weirdest part of this whole case. Well, not the weirdest part of this whole case. This is one of the weirdest parts of the whole case. Now, in September 2008, during a heavy windstorm in central Ohio, Randy Shaffer was out in the yard of his Baltimore home clearing debris. A branch blew off from a nearby tree and fatally struck him. Oh boy. Okay, neighbors found his body the next morning and called police. Okay, see, how is it that you not know? I guess if it was a windstorm, nobody wanted to come outside. So he was basically there the entire evening, the entire night, and wasn't found until the next morning. That has got to be the creepiest thing ever. A man gets struck by a tree and is not even found, or they didn't even hear the man get struck. They say, "Oh, ooh," and hit the ground. They didn't hear none of that. Because I guess with the wind blowing and everything, it probably blocked out his voice or the sound of him being struck, or even him saying "ouch" or whatever. But that is major weird how nobody heard that. Okay, now after his obituary ran online, a condolence book was posted. One of the signatures in it said, "To Dad, love Brian, U.S. Virgin Islands." Huh. Okay, now that's weird. Now this suggested Brian might have left Columbus for a new life elsewhere. However, upon further investigation, the note was found to have been posted from a computer accessibly to the public in Franklin County. It was determined to be a hoax. Wow, that is just dead wrong. That's disgusting. Why somebody could even think to do that is beyond me. Okay, now subsequent developments in the case include shortly after Randy Shaffer's death, Neil Rosenberg, attorney for Florence, wrote to Don Corbett a private investigator who has volunteered his time to help the Shaffer family find Brian regarding his client's ongoing refusal to take a lie detector test. Whew, okay. Now, Rosenberg initiated that he... intimidated that he had learned that the Columbus police investigating the case believed Brian was alive. In April of 2009, the Lantern, Ohio State student newspaper, disclosed the exchange. If Brian is alive, which is what I'm led to believe after speaking with the detective involved, then it is Brian. And not Clint who is causing his family pain and hardship. Rosenberg wrote. Okay, Brian should come forward and end this, Florence, he said. Okay, he said did not have anything to hide. He had merely told everything he knew from the beginning and did not see the value of doing so again. Now, Rosenberg's assertion, notwithstanding, many of those who were close to Brian have criticized Florence for not being forthcoming enough. As soon as the detective started getting involved, that's when he pretty much had no contact with anybody. Let's see. Now, this is recalled by Derek Shaffer, his brother. And of course, last surviving immediate family member. That's just kind of weird. How first the mother dies of an illness, then then Brian disappears, and shortly after that, the father gets killed. In a freak accident. Weird, yet somewhat coincidental, but that's just a whole different ballgame right there. Okay, so now from what he said, Brian's brother, Derek, I've always thought he definitely knows something, just won't come forward with it. He believes it is still possible that Brian is alive, and Florence knows where he might have gone. Shaffer's girlfriend at the time, Alexis Wagner, also thinks Florence is withholding information. However, she believes it's likely that her former boyfriend is dead. She said that I can't imagine he would have just done that, and I believe that too. Now in 2014, the Columbus police said they were still receiving at least 2 tips a month on the case via the local Crime Stoppers hotline. Though none had proven useful, the evidence in the case filled 4 boxes of files. That's a lot of tips over the years. Now, one of the original investigators, Andre Edwards. Okay, now I talked about him earlier, how he looked at the footage, front to back, back to front, upside down, inside out, tore it apart, and looked at every single frame of that video, and it did not show him leaving the bar. He goes out, he walks, they see him walking up the escalator, or going up the escalator, and going in. Comes back out around 1:55, talks to 2 young women, and he is seen going back into the establishment. At that point, that was it. Nothing. They didn't see him come out again. He wasn't wearing no hat. He didn't have his head down. He didn't change his clothes. And of course, there was no evidence to show that he left out the back door leading out into that area where they were doing some construction. So naturally, you see that there is nothing to say about that. So, but yeah, he was not seen after leaving that, after going back inside that place. So, what could have happened to him? Did a portal open up in the bar? Maybe. Was he cloaked by these beings so that they wouldn't see him being taken? That's another possibility, because this happens a lot in bars, where he could be in the bar and all these people around, and not one of them saw him or saw a description of him. His friends looked for him all over the place. Other people who went through these situations, they looked for them all over the place. They could not find him anywhere in the bar. So it's like a portal opened up somewhere in the bar. He walks right through it, and poof, he's gone. You know, that would be my own explanation as to why they can't find him, or why is it that he went in and never came out, according to what the footage in the cameras say. The cameras don't show that. They don't show him leaving. They don't show him coming out later on after the bar closes. It's not like he worked there and he, closed the shop himself, which he didn't. So I don't know. It's just a very weird case, and it's weird in all cases because of how he goes missing. His mom dies first, then he goes missing, then his father dies, and the only one left behind is his brother. He's the last remaining member of his immediate family. He's got the other family, of course, to console him and to keep him sane or whatever. But his brother is gone, his mom is gone, and his father's gone. How can you cope with something like that when you lose your entire family? Now, I got a coworker that went through the same thing. I talked about this in one of my earlier videos, where his entire family was killed by the hands of someone. I will not get into who, because this is a personal case and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to put this out there. I'm just saying I was very distraught when I found out about it. And it was a very touchy case for everyone, because we all knew him. We all knew his wife, and he adored his daughter. And he's doing good today. So we all still have his back in a lot of areas. But that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different story. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming out today to watch this video. There's a lot of information with this case, because this is one of the biggest cases that David Paulides talked about when he was being interviewed on Coast to Coast AM. So I wanted to get that on here. Now, I still trying to figure out if I ever posted a video about that one person, because I think I remember reading about one of these cases in his books, which did include the Ugly Tuna Saloona. I don't know if maybe I read about it, or I just happened to hear about it on Coast to Coast AM, or even if I read about it on the internet, I probably never posted it on my channel. So that's why I'm doing it now, just in case I didn't talk about it in the past. Now, if there's someone out there that actually watched that video, let me know. That way I'll know if I did it or not. If I didn't, I'm good, and so will you guys. That way you got the information first and foremost right here on Insane Disappearances. Yeah. But anyway, that's gonna be it on this video. I got some more coming. I gotta look into some more that I heard about or seen on the forums that I'm a part of. So I'm gonna go on there and I'm gonna look that up, and I'm going to try and get another video in sometime tonight. So I'm off today, so I got plenty of time. Yay! So but yeah, you know how I do it on every one of my videos at the very end. But before I do that, I just want to say, I want to give a big shout out to Tyler on Insane. I'm giving this Insane Disappearance. I'm sorry. I want to give a big shout out to Tyler from Secure Team 10. And I know you've been going through a lot ever since the motorcycle accident. And I hear from your last video, I hear that you back home and you posted your very first video today, and it was a very good one. I still say that that UFO that the guy took from underneath it on the ground looks a lot like the Apple logo from Apple. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but it just kind of looks like it. But it is a very compelling video. I'm not knocking it. I'm not, because you have so many good videos on it, and it does look like a disc, but it still also kind of looks like, and I guess with the light shimmering off of it, because they say it was a glowing red object, so it kind of just made it look like that. Cameras do. Even if you're not doing it yourself, sometimes it can make things look different. When you take a picture, because of the light that's emitting from this thing. So anyway, like I said, I want to just give a big shout out to Tyler, and I hope you're getting well. And I know you are, and I'm really sorry about what happened to you. I have a friend who actually was in a motorcycle accident that I heard about. This was like back in 2003. He passed away from it, but I know it can be very dangerous. So big ups for you, making sure that everybody out there who has a motorcycle is being safe. And I'm saying the same thing. If you're riding on a motorcycle, please be safe. If you just buying one, study that motorcycle inside and out for at least a good 2-3 years. That is the least you can do when you get a motorcycle. Some people, they just put it together and get right on it and just start riding it. But there's a lot of people that don't know that you have to study that motorcycle from the inside out. I mean, you got to tear it apart, study it, do what you got to do in order for you to be safe with it. You can't just ride on it. You got to be safe with it as well. So, yeah. Tyler, please get well, and I will be watching. All right? And I hope you're watching me too. because I noticed that when I sent you that information about David Paulides' cases, you immediately put up a story about that on one of your videos, and I'm really happy about that because it didn't come out until after I posted one about that. So you actually saw it and you knew about it, so thank you very much. But anyway, guys, I got to go. You know how I do it at the end of every video. Aloha, mahalo, and ahuiho. Peace out, brothers and wahines. Have a great day. Or sunny where you at, like where it is here.